Cheer the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're winning for so long.
Oh, man.
Only a
The baseball team,
The
the
baseball
Pittsburgh
team.
Pirates.
The baseball team.
Oh man.
Because I'm running out of adjectives to describe the performance as of late.
Does anyone remember what I said before we left last week, or whenever that was? Our last recording was. I said, "Oh,
No, what happened?
we're playing the Diamondbacks and the Padres, two of the biggest series of the year. They seem to be must-wins."
Mhm.
Well, guess what?
Yeah.
How many of those did they win, Mike?
You know, we won one game.
1-5. And
Our
see, it
last-
wasn't even like we just lost. We got embarrassed in those games, dude.
The NL West single-handedly dug the Pirates' grave.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks win the series. We lose 6 straight to the Padres, and then the Dodgers sweep us. It's just
So that makes it
brutal.
10 in a row
10
now, right?
losses in a row.
10 losses in a row. And I just don't know what to say. It's just so depressing to go from, oh, yay, we're buyers, to, oh, yeah, we have the second worst record
Dude,
in
it's-
baseball since the All-Star
we
break.
went from like a game out of the wild card and 6 out of the division to I don't even fucking know anymore. I'm just
Yeah, well, I was gonna say,
We
well,
lost
there it is,
10 in a
everyone.
row.
We'll see you next season. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh man. All right, guys. Let's get into this a little bit. Do we want to talk Diamondback series first, Padres, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to handle, big implications going into really what the future of this franchise is going to look like. And if you ask myself, and I'm sure if you ask a couple of you guys, it could be heads on the line here. And we could be heading into a different era, which it feels like is going to be what this team is going to need to move forward.
I mean, the 2 games we lost, we could have easily have taken. We could have at least easily taken the series against the Diamondbacks. We only took 1 of 3, and that was a series that we could have potentially swept. It was so upsetting because we came back from 5-0 and we blew the lead. And then the other game we had a 4-run lead with Paul Skeens and we blew the lead again. And it's partially Colin Holderman's fault, but it's also Derek Shelton's fault for going to him as often as he did that series.
And then to top it off, we proceeded to then put Holderman on the IL. So he was pitching through an injury. So why couldn't Derek Shelton realize that and be like, oh, hey, maybe we're not going to use this guy in high leverage situations, as if he didn't just give up 11 runs in his last 4 outings. He needs to stop going, he just needed to stop going to Holderman. I know you want him to bounce back like Bednar did, and Chapman did the same thing. They both came back and played great. But I was but in this situation, in this part of the schedule, you don't have the time for him to just work out of the rut in every high leverage situation. You have to try to spice it up. Let him get his confidence back somewhere else.
The thing is that this isn't 2021 or 2022 anymore, where the Pirates' best late inning option besides Bednar's Chris Stratton or Anthony Banda. You could have went to Kyle Nicholas. I think Kyle Nicholas only pitched 3 times the entire homestand. He's been one of your hottest relievers recently, and you barely use him. Dennis Santana's been solid for the last month plus, and you don't go to him either. I mean, again, just give the guy a breather. I mean, go to someone else. Do something different, because, I mean, the bullpen management single-handedly lost us that homestand.
I mean, every single... In that first Diamondbacks game, every single pitcher that entered the game for the Pirates proceeded to give up an earned run. It's not even we finally get the bats to start hitting the ball, and then pitching just forgets how to pitch, and we got torched. The Diamondbacks absolutely hit the piss out of the baseball. I mean, and yeah, that's going to happen, but...
Some of the other decisions during this series were dude, what are you doing? Not going to Jalen Beeks with Jock Peterson, who's a known righty killer. He's mashed righties all year, and you have Jalen Beeks warming up. And I understand you don't want to go to him because you've used him as often as they did, but if you're they use him the next inning. They used him the very next inning. So what did it really matter? Use him in the situation that it's best to put him in. And then the other game, you had IKF, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, up with 2 on and no outs in the bottom 9th. You had him bunt. This is a guy that you brought in to help the offense. He had 2 extra base hits on the day, and he was batting around 290 at the time. And you have him bunt. Like, dude, come on. Just giving away outs.
And that's something too. I didn't think he got enough flack for Shelton, and we've seen it really over the last week. Bunting has kind of been mismanaged lately in a few different games. But I mean, the other night we saw Bob Melvin get absolutely chastised for it at Mont for doing the same thing to Tyler Fitzgerald, who is one of their best hitters.
I think the most frustrating thing is that, like, even throughout this stretch, I mean, it's been pretty ugly. Defense has been sloppy. Managerial selection of bullpen and pinch hitting situations has been questionable. And the biggest thing is the overall, the Pirates lost 7 of those 10 games by 1 run. It's not like we got smoked. It was right there. It's like, even if they find a way to win 4 of these 10 or 3 of the 10, like, you're still floating. Like, you'd still be around the 4 games out of the playoffs, and now we're, I don't even know, like, what, 6, 7 games.
I didn't
and
even
we're
look
like,
at because
we're like 13 games out of the division now, so you might as well kiss that one goodbye. It's just like they're right there, and it's just 1-run games are killing them.
You're saying, like, the pinch hitting too. It's like the Pirates almost came back in that last game, in one of those games against the Padres, and they could have went to Joey Bart to face a lefty, and they didn't go to him. Joey Bart's been great all year. He has killed lefties. He's batting like 400 with a 1200 OPS. And he's been just good all year. You have Yasmani Grandal pinch hit for him with the game on the line and 2 outs. And Shelton's excuse was like, oh, well, he was 0 for 3 against Adrian Moran. And, Grandal,
0 for 3, what a sample size
and
that
like,
is.
oh, well, but Grandal's also been good, has been putting good at-bats together recently. It's like, I don't care. Joey Bart's been putting good at-bats together all year. Okay, I don't care if Grandal's been good for the last, like, week, okay? I want to see Joey Bart hit more because he's been great since he's gotten here.
And in clutch situations, especially.
Absolutely. He's been extremely clutch this season.
To piggyback off of what Noah just said about Yasmani Grandal, too, I'm, like, 99% sure the following day, Yasmani Grandal, who has been putting quality at-bats together, went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts to top it off. So... that comment right there just completely blew up, like, right in his face. If you don't want to
go to Bart, you had Brian De La Cruz on the bench. I get he hasn't been great recently for the Pirates, but the point of the matter is you bought this guy so he could help improve the offense, and you're just not going to use him. You're going to go to Yasmani Grandal, the guy who struggled for 99% of the year to hit, except for over the last, like, week or two, just because he's been having an okay week. No, I want to see the guy that either A, you brought in to help the offense, or B, the guy that's been great all year.
Yeah, there's just, like, not much you could say about it. I just feel like I've seen a lot of tweets on Twitter recently about has Derek Shelton lost the locker room? To me, he might have. It just seems like there's no energy.
I don't think there's much energy left in the locker room once you get to this point in the season.
I mean, outside of Bart and Reynolds, like, there's just no spark. I mean, even Kutch recently. Kutch has been hitting the ball great. Outside of them, it's just like, I feel like no one cares.
Bart, Reynolds, Kutch, and Skeens are, like, the only guys who have actually done stuff over the last week.
Literally. And even just, what, three days ago, Ben Sherrington on 93.7 The Fan, he came out and said, we still believe it's possible that we can push ourselves into October.
Dude. And
then right after this quote, we proceed to go out and get absolutely dominated by the Padres. Yeah, you might as well. Yeah, you're really competing. It just, you don't need to lie. Just admit, like, when you're cooked. And start building for 25.
I mean,
You don't
granted,
need
Well,
to spoon
we've-
feed
a
us
general
cake.
manager's
We've
never gonna
entered.
say-
We've
a general manager's never gonna say, "Oh yeah, we suck ass," and that's it.
No, but
yeah.
you know what I mean. I'm just
Yeah, I
saying,
know.
like, you could make it be like, oh, this isn't what we wanted and whatnot. You don't have to keep saying, being optimistic, like, oh, yeah, we're going to make the playoffs. No, we're not. We're on a 7-game skid when you
Well,
said that.
speaking, Mike, of 2025, we have touched on it a little bit before, and I believe we talked about it before the season started. But now it's really come into the limelight with all of those decisions piling up and this team falling off, the cliff it was on and the path it was on. So now it's really come to light that we're starting to question whether Derek Shelton is the manager past this season for the Pittsburgh Pirates, which I've had my thoughts on it for a while, which I've mostly kept quiet, maybe shared a little bit with you guys, but are you guys on the same page as me that you're thinking he's going to need to be replaced along with pretty much all of the coaching staff following this season?
I do. I think that we need to get a new manager in here. I mean, heading into this year, I was optimistic about him. I thought that he's not that bad, but this is like the test year for him to me. This is the year where you actually have a chance to do something with this roster and the depth in the minor leagues, and you're not doing it. I don't know what he's doing, but he's just not doing. He's not pushing the right buttons. That's been clear for the last week, especially over the last week. That was the most important homestand the Pirates have had in years, and you just blew it with bad managerial decisions. You can't do that. If you want to make the playoffs, if you ever want to make a deep playoff run, you have to push the right buttons quite often. And I know I don't expect any manager to be perfect. That's unreasonable, but that's some of the moves he made were unacceptable over the last homestand. And really, it really comes into light now when you actually have a team with potential and a roster that could make a playoff push. When you really start to see those decisions being made that are bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, honestly, just 2 weeks ago, I was very happy with the way Shelton was doing it. I think he had a great, after the All-Star break finish of July, I thought he did great. And I thought that would definitely buy him some time, but I figured the only way that something could go south is an astronomical, explosion.
Astronomical
and
collapse
it goes
like we've absolutely had.
south.
Like we've seen over the last week.
And it literally just hit the fan. So it it's just like he just doesn't seem like he has anyone motivated to play. No one's everyone's making little mental mistakes. It's just like until they see one go through the hoop, I think these mental mistakes are going to keep adding up. He's going to keep making dumb decisions, and we're going to keep losing baseball games. And
Yeah, I mean,
something has to change.
yeah, like I
So-
said before, when we were bad in 2021, 2022, who cares, If Derek Shelton makes a bad decision, what's it matter, What's the difference between 100 losses and 98 losses, But now that's not the case anymore. That's not the case. You have a roster with potential. You have players that could actually help you make a playoff push, and you have to you have to make the right decisions at this point.
I'll say this too. There are players on this roster who I can't believe have been haven't been sent down, including Jared Triolo, because his OPS has been in the 500 since April. So, I mean, I can't completely blame Derek Shelton when Jared Triolo has a 500 OPS coming off the bench. It's just like there's other guys that could be called up, including Billy Cook, who's been great since we acquired him from the Orioles, and Nick York. Another one. So it's like...
And even some guys on the pitching side of things, too.
Exactly. I mean... Dude,
especially lately.
Even Henry
Where's
Davis.
Bubba?
Yeah, Bubba pitched good. He's 7 shutout innings. His first start AAA. I think we'll see him sooner rather
He was
than
electric
later.
there.
So I just think with the season and now where we're at, I feel like we should start seeing some of these young guys get called up, and for these borderline roster spots like Triolo, who could be sent down, G1 Bay is another one. I think you could send them down for Nick York and Billy
Honestly,
Cook.
just DFA Michael A. Taylor at this point. It doesn't matter.
Dude, DFA Grandal and bring up Davis. Let him finish the season and at least try to build some momentum for 2025. I mean, he had a piss poor MLB season to this point, and right now he's absolutely raking in AAA. So I mean, why not? I mean,
Yeah.
Season's basically over. So I
He should be up before the end of the month.
I agree. It's just so I don't think Ben Sherrington's going to get fired because I think they're going to keep him.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think
they're
so.
going to clean house on the coaching staff, and that'll be the last straw. And if they're still bad next year, don't add or do anything. Like he's cooked, gone.
This has to be the year, though. This has to be the offseason where you light a fire under Ben Sherrington, though. This has to be like, all right, this is year 5. I don't really count 2020. Nobody gives a shit about 2020. but
Fair enough.
I mean, do you really care about 2020? What happened in 2020?
No, the Dodgers
I have some,
got a
I have
Mickey
some
Mouse
bad
ring,
memories
so-
with that season, so
Mickey Mouse ring from the Dodgers.
The point is, I mean, I gave him a pass for everyone. You got to give a pass for every team in 2020 because things were so weird. But again, that's besides the point. You're going to your 5th full season as general manager. You have to show some results here, okay? I'm not talking about just being competitive into August again. I'm talking about actually at least being a wild card team, if not better.
And to top it off too, the NL Central is not going to get easier next year. It's not. The Cardinals are going to be the Cardinals. They're going to be buyers. The Brewers are going to do the same thing. The Cubs got better at the deadline, and they made trades
Reds are
for
going to get better
the
too.
Reds. Yes, exactly. So it's not like they're going anywhere. So you got to make moves, and our our owner has shown that he's not willing to do so. So we'll see. But Ben Sherrington, I also agree. He has to be more effective on the trades because it hasn't been great. History hasn't been great, but
It's been very hit or miss. Either he makes
Very.
it okay, he either makes a good trade or just like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I do want to keep things on Derek for now, just because it seems like we're all in agreement that we don't really see a world where Ben goes anywhere after this year. I would be very surprised.
It would have to take twice
but-
the downfall they're on right now, I think, for them to just
Yeah,
completely
but Shelton, there's definitely a chance, and then I mean the rest of the coaching staff. I mean we've spoke on some of the coaching staff before, and
Oscar Marin's the only guy that's
not
safe, if you ask me.
who is
Oscar Marin, the pitching coach.
Oh yeah, probably. But
I mean, the seat
the
definitely
thing,
got warmer.
it could be
recently, but-
if he could be gone though too if you have a new manager come in
Yeah.
with his philosophy. That wouldn't be uncommon, but I mean I think we pretty much covered too everything we think that would result in his firing. Do we know how much contract he has left?
We do not. He was extended last year, early last year. It was like April, but again, like you have to consider. I don't care how many years are left. You have to get Derek Shelton can't get this done. You have to make a move for another manager.
Was it not a 5-year extension?
I don't remember.
Here, wait, I'll
There's
find
no
it.
way it was that much. From last year, they gave him 5.
Typically, you don't really hear how long.
Managers usually get 2 or 3.
Typically, you don't
Hold
really
on, I'm
hear how
trying to-
long managers are extended for. It's not like player
trying
contracts where you
to
always hear like, "Oh yeah,
find
that's
it.
play." I don't remember, and I don't think it's like publicly available. I could not find very much on it.
Yeah, it says very
Well,
little is
no.
known about the terms of the extension.
Yeah.
It just says he's
Huh.
through at least 2024. I don't know where I heard 5 years.
Okay,
but
so at least this season.
at least. Because he was
I wonder if
hired
that-
at 19, correct?
2020.
I wonder if, since
1920.
it's not public, if there's any team options in there.
I don't know because
For
there's
his
not really
extension.
much on it. I'm trying
Yeah.
to find something, but there's doesn't seem like
Yeah,
much,
but it's like we're pretty much on pace. I think I saw something yesterday. We're pretty much on pace for the same win-loss record as last year, right?
Jason
I'm not
Mackey.
sure.
Jason Mackey actually did just put out a tweet today that said if it stood and the Pirates keep like on the same path, they are projected to be 76 and 86, which would tie their record from last season.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you cannot have that happen. You had to be improved this year. If you don't end up improving this year with Paul Skeens doing as great as he is, you have Jared Jones, you have O'Neal Cruz back, and he's doing good. You have to improve from 76 wins from last year. You have
Especially, dude, last year post All-Star break, it was literally Mitch Keller and Johan Oviedo, and then
And we played above
they were the only
500.
starters. We had a winning record with 2 starting pitchers, and the rest were openers. Like, how do you manage that? And now you have Mitch Keller, Paul Skeens, Falter's been in and out, but I mean he's there. Jared Jones, Marco Gonzalez made starts. Luis Ortiz. It's like how do you have this many like pitching, like in the rotation and then just completely botch it? I mean the bullpen's
Yeah.
significantly worse from last year. I mean that was supposed to be a
Well,
strength, and it's proven
yeah.
to be the downfall.
If Shelton is gone, obviously you need to replace him with hopefully someone who would perform a little bit better. Noah, what are some of the options that the Pirates could be looking at or are looking like they're becoming available?
I was looking at it, and I really want to bring in Rod Brajas as the manager.
Rod Barajas
Rod
is a
Brajas,
name
he
I have
was-
not heard in
he
a long
was
time.
The Pirates catcher in 2012, but he has a lot of experience.
I shook his
He-
hand on the
managed-
field.
He managed. He was a minor league manager for a handful of years for the Padres. He managed their AAA team for 3 years, and for what it's worth, I mean it's only AAA, but still for what it's worth, they were above 500 every year he was their manager. He was a bench coach for a while for the Padres, kind of a catching instructor too, and he was a quality control coach for the. He's a quality control coach for the Marlins now. And hey, in his first year they made the playoffs, so I mean, I mean that's just something I like to note there with that. So.
Nah, that's a crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I wanted to note on there, but still, I mean, Rod Brajas, I mean, he probably has the best track record of any former Pirates player that they could bring in as a manager. I mean, he has a good, decent resume. He's been coaching now since he's retired. I think he would make a good manager. And he was a good leader. He's the one who started Zoltan.
Was he actually? I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. Really? I would assume there was like McCutcheon or someone.
Yeah, he was the one that started it.
You know who I would like to see, and it'd be. I don't know how you would feel about it, but I feel like Neil Walker would be pretty cool as the manager. I feel like that would be.
I feel like it has to be a catcher, a former catcher or something like that. Catchers
Catcher?
always make great leaders.
I guess
Okay,
that's valid.
I'm gonna jump in here. I vastly disagree with both of you.
You don't like Rod
Um,
Brajas?
No, I love me some Rod Barajas, but I think that is the furthest thing from what this organization needs right now. I don't think anytime you take a guy who, yes, played in the majors, but was not a major league manager before and does not have major league managing experience, you're taking
he
a
does,
risk.
but it's 8 games.
And well, okay, but I don't think it's time for the Pirates to be taking any more risks than they have to, and I'd rather see a more safe option, which it seems like there might be at least a few available, but I'd rather not jump into a new manager with no major league managing experience or no like real full season major league managing experience.
8 games.
But you know what? If Ben wants to take that risk and put it on, because that'll be his job on the line immediately. For sure.
How would you feel about Gabe Kapler?
Oh, now we're talking. I'm joking partly. Gabe, I still think Gabe is great. Only thing with Gabe is I know he's had quite a few reports and things I've heard about mismanaging in the clubhouse and not being able to kind of keep the guys, let's see, in line, I guess is the best way to put it. And I've also heard his communication directly with players isn't great. I heard quite a bit that he would just text players instead of talk to them when he was in the same room as them, which I think is hilarious. But I can't see how, if that was true, this is all alleged. It wasn't confirmed by any direct source, but if that is true, I could see how, that could turn some heads. I think he's very much a modern day 2020s manager, but probably not the best idea. I mean, But realistically, who else do you got? Girardi? No.
I was gonna say, is there anyone else you can think of?
David Ross?
David
That's it. That would
No.
just be funny.
Yeah, that would be funny, but I don't know
Especially
because
he shit on us and then got fired. That same off
Well, it's like you can't have. Honestly, David Ross would probably be okay, but you can't really have him in just really for that reason. Mike Matheny?
Yeah. I mean, he led some pretty good Cardinals teams, but the Cardinals were really good. So I mean,
Yeah. I mean, there could
it'll be
be
hard to mismanage that.
I don't know if there's anyone. At least if you can get someone with major league coaching experience,
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
And
opposed to
strong
Joe
major league coaching.
Girardi personally.
Strong-
I'm just saying,
strong background.
Barajas has been coaching for a while now as a bench coach for a handful of years. I still really like Barajas.
I wouldn't personally mind Joe Girardi because I mean, like he's had major league like managerial experience in both pretty big market like teams, being the
I
Yankees.
saw some
and
people on
Phillies
Twitter saying that
recently.
I saw some people they really want Terry Francona. I just don't think Terry Francona is coming out of retirement though.
Terry Francona.
Terry
Oh,
Francona would be
man.
great if you ask me, but I just don't.
You
know
never
if he's-
know.
I don't
Bruce
know,
Bochy
man.
came back.
Honestly, yeah, if Bochy came out of retirement and got himself a ring, I would not be surprised.
I mean,
if
I'm sure
saw
Terry
that and was
Francona
like,
would be a little, enticed and be like, "Hey, we want you to come coach Paul Skeens. Would you come do it for us?" I'm sure that would at least raise some eyebrows, right? I'd have to at least
Yeah.
consider it.
Well, we could see, there could maybe be an opening as well at the end of the year, depending on what happens with certain managers. I don't really know if there's anyone in line looking like they're going to be let go or maybe part ways, but a lot of things with manager contracts can be kept under wraps at times, so we don't necessarily know who's it going to be until that time of year comes around in about October, November. So it just sounds like we'll need to keep an eye out for it. I do want to throw one more name out there. How about Mark DeRosa?
Mark DeRosa.
That'd be interesting.
Why-
I think
why
I
Mark
I would
DeRosa?
like that.
He just came to mind because
He
I
was
thinking
Team
about,
USA's coach. Team USA.
I was thinking about Team USA the other day. I was like, I wonder how he's doing because I know he's been trying to get a major league job for a while, but he might need to take a bench coach role first and step away from the media before somebody hires him, unless somebody maybe on their last limb like Ben Cherington wants to throw him a contract and give him a shot.
Well, I just want to add one thing before we move off the Derek Shelton fire train here. So, this question was asked on the fan yesterday, I believe, and it basically this was asked to Derek Shelton in a post-game interview, and he said the question was there an ultimatum from Bob Nutting that there had to be a winning season this year? And Shelton then proceeded to say, I'm not going to answer that question. We don't talk about what we talk about in-house. So
yes,
what? How
that
would
sounds
you guys?
like a yes to me.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, like,
say,
how would you guys take that? It's like, yeah, very much so. Like, yeah, if you don't win, your ass is grass.
Yeah.
That's basically what.
I don't really know. I don't really know if he would give him an ultimatum like that directly. I wouldn't put it past Bob, but it could be something more like we're expecting this, but he knows what he actually meant by that.
Yeah.
It could be more like that.
It could have been implied. I mean, of
Fair
course,
enough.
of course, they're
Yes.
never gonna like say directly, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get fired if we don't start playing better."
Dude, that'd be wild. Honestly, like I would tell that to the clubhouse at least. Be like, guys, help me
Yeah.
out, please. Do you like me?
Do you,
help
do you
a brother
guys
out.
like me? Just like I feel like he's really just been dodging questions recently, and it's like, dude, we're on a 10-game losing streak. You at least be upfront.
All
Like,
dude,
be
it's
blunt.
just like all it is like the most basic speak a lot of the times that these guys give. I mean, I expect that because that's what it is. Most guys like that are going to give. They're not going to give you like a super in-depth answer about some of this stuff. They're not going to reveal the specifics of what's going on in the clubhouse and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's just what it's been.
Yeah. And I saw a quote too. It was like, I can't remember the exact quote. It was about, did you see this, Noah? About Derek Shelton when he asked about he was asked about playing bad baseball or whatever, and he basically was just saying like along the same line. He's like, oh well, your definition of bad baseball might differ from my definition of bad baseball. So like I've just seen like a bunch of people on Twitter flame like every time the Pirates would mess up and be like, oh, Derek Shelton is this definition of bad baseball? It was like O'Neal
Is his
Cruz.
definition of bad baseball not a 9-game losing streak?
And 7 of them
10,
being
actually.
Well,
7
at
of
the
them
time it
being
was
1
9.
run.
Well, at the time
7
was
of
it
them
9?
being 1 runs. I believe so. It was a few days ago it came out.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact
Okay,
quote. I just know it was along that line.
I think I understand a little bit what he means. Like, you know, we aren't getting blown out here every game, so it's not completely bad. But I'd say
there's no moral
anytime
victories when you're on a 10-game losing streak.
Dude,
if that's how
I'm,
he's looking
I'm
at it.
currently, yeah, well, it's like if I'm looking at the August calendar right now, I see 1 win on the August calendar. It is August 14th, 2024, and there's 1 win on your calendar for the month. Halfway into the month. No, it's not bad baseball. Dude, I don't care if you lost every game by 1 run. Because if anything, that shows a fundamental problem with you mismanaging it if you lose every single game by 1 run.
Exactly.
They didn't, but even if they did, it's still bad.
It's like,
and
okay,
it's terrible.
Even yesterday, they lose 2-1 to the Padres. The Pirates then proceed to go 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position. Is that not bad baseball? Like,
No.
This isn't a 3 or 4 game losing streak where you're just getting unlucky. No, we're on game 10, dude. Okay.
I honestly think it's harder to lose 10 games in a row than it is to just win 1. I genuinely believe that. I think it's harder to lose this many games.
That way.
I agree.
It just gets how
Unless
you
you're the
feel
White
that
Sox,
way.
I agree.
It just
Okay,
gets
the White
that way
Sox
where
really
you
have
just,
no talent anywhere, minus Garrett Crochet
and
and Luis Roberts. That's it.
I mean, it just feels that way. It's like you get to a point where it's like, dude, you just want them to win 1.
I swear, like they're just making so many stupid errors, and it's like we're back to that point where it's like, oh, they go down 1-0, and it just feels like, oh, yep, done. We can't have anything nice. We suck, and there's the same feeling we had in May when we couldn't hit the baseball. But right now, the problem isn't hitting the baseball, although the last 2 games it kind of has been. But in this stretch, we've hit the ball solid. It's just been pitching, and it's like, but it's still the same way. It just feels like, oh, nothing's ever gonna. We're just never gonna win again, and it's just such a terrible feeling because we went out and bought, and now since we were buyers, we have the 2nd worst record in baseball. I've never seen a team do that. They got better, yet so much worse at the same time.
Well, it's happened before to the Pirates, hasn't it, Noah?
It has, unfortunately. It has happened now 3 times in the last 15 years and 3 times in my life, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, but like Chris. Okay, if you're referencing the Chris Archer situation, it did not make the Pirates significantly better.
That's
Nope.
not what
Nope.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about 2000.
Let us take you back to a time of
2011.
2011, Mike.
All right, go ahead.
Mike, do you remember Jerry Meals?
Oh yeah, I remember Jerry Meals.
I
What kind of
remember
question is that?
that was the start of that downfall when Jerry Meals blew that call in the 19th inning against the Atlanta Braves back in 2011. And I remember waking up the next morning and being like, what the fuck? Obviously, I didn't think that because I was like 10 years old.
Was that your
and didn't
exact
know.
thought when you were, 10 years old now?
Well, that would have been like what it was today, but it was essentially that for a 10-year-old.
What the frick?
Exactly.
What the freak,
Dude,
man?
but-
We seriously lost in the
Because I went to bed at that point because I was like, I'm tired and I have school in the morning. And then
Dude, those were the days, man. Dude, bring real baseball back, man. I miss going to bed and the game is still happening on my TV, dude.
and then
The DH.
and then
Sorry.
well, 2012, where we had the worst record in baseball in the month of September.
Which is great. Great time to do it. Right at the end of the season.
But to you, is this collapse more painful to you, Mike, than those two, or were those two collapses more painful then? You got to think back a little bit.
I don't know.
I don't know how much Pirates baseball Dawson was
2011 was pretty bad.
watching. The fact how it started made it bad, if you ask me.
Made it worse.
Because you lose
Because I think here
that
there wasn't
way.
really a definitive moment like that. You know?
I feel like recency bias kind of trumps me right now, and it's like, oh my god, this team, we haven't been able to like compete in a few years. Probably like the last 5-6 years we haven't really been competitive, and now we're finally competitive. We're like, oh yeah, we're buying at the deadline. We won that huge game against the Astros the day before the deadline, and we're like, yep, this just saved the season. We went in and bought, and we just fell off the face of the earth. It's just like, I think it's just like how it happened. Like it just hit like a freight train, like straight up.
Yeah.
It's just so depressing.
See,
like,
there is a little bit of a saving grace here in the sense that it wasn't a hard buy. Like,
No,
we
yeah,
didn't
like,
really
we didn't
give up
mortgage
any
the farm.
prospects I'm looking like, and I'm like, oh no. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, Tamar's still here.
We didn't trade Tamar Johnson
Chandler's
for
still
Jazz
here.
Chisholm before he undergoes UCL
Thomas
surgery.
Harrington. Yeah, dude. Like, can you imagine we traded for Jazz and then we lose this many games in a row?
And then he has UCL surgery.
That would have made it a lot worse.
Dude, I can't imagine
I
what
agree,
people
I
would've said
agree.
at that point. I can't imagine what
Yeah,
people would be like if, we have this huge losing streak, and in the 10th
So
loss,
bad.
Jazz Chisholm just needs Tommy John surgery.
Yeah. Then it would have been worse. I mean, what does really suck about this year is, what we didn't have before is, now MLB's handing out the wild card spots to everybody. So, it feels a lot closer, or I guess more attainable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
especially because
Like,
the
it
NL
feels
is
like-
just NL has not been strong, especially in the wild card picture. So it's like it's right there for the
I
taking.
mean,
and we just
lately it's
didn't
been
take it.
lately it's been getting better, but
Oh,
before
definitely.
before this stretch they were there, and they were in
absolutely. They were one game out of the wild card and 6 games out of the division, and that's very close when you're heading into August.
it. Yeah, so I think that's something you need to factor into. I mean, I'd say probably 2011 still rough, rough time.
I think it's just rough because of how it started. You lose that way, it's like.
Yeah, that
And that was-
doesn't
and
help.
that was the
Otherwise,
pre-
it
that was that was the era before you could replay.
are we sure replay would have gotten that one right anyway?
Yes.
On
Dude, did you see the one the other day that
110%.
dude, hold on. Did you see the one the other day that hit George Springer in the foot? And then
Oh, dude,
it
he
hit
had
him in
to
the
be-
foot. The
that
umpire
was
said
last night.
the umpire's like, no, it didn't. They review it. They're like, call on the field stands, and then George Springer gets ejected because the umpire said something to him.
Yeah.
Umpire moment.
So I just want to say, there ain't no guarantee with that.
Then
or
again,
replay
too, like,
ever,
did you see
man.
like the ground rule double home run things that are happening recently? Like the hit off the player and went over the fence.
Oh yeah, I did.
I forget.
That's
The
still a
one
home
was
run.
called a ground rule double, and then one was called a home run. And then if I was being honest, like they should have been reverse rolled. Like the one that got called a double should have been a home run, and the one that was a home run should have been a double. It was just like, I don't know. So New York can be tricky sometimes, but dude,
Yeah, never a guarantee. But I mean, now at least looking forward in the coming weeks, there are a few players that we need to talk about because their performance has not been great overall,
I blame.
and I'm looking right over at third base.
I still blame Andy Haynes.
Noah's holding out hope.
Dude, it's because it's only because Andy Haynes. Every player who has come to Pittsburgh has gotten worse, and there's no way it's every player's bad rather than it's fucking Andy Haynes, dude. But still, I mean, we're talking about Ke'Bryan Hayes. He's been awful this year, unfortunately. I mean, he's still been great with the glove, so at least there's that. But I mean, dude, I thought he was gonna be so good this year. I thought he was gonna be one of the best third basemen in the league because he was so good in during summer last year, and this year he's just can't.
And if I remember correctly, I do believe that we were saying on the very first podcast episode at the start of this season that Ke'Bryan Hayes had potential to be a dark horse MVP candidate.
You
He
know,
did.
Mike, I was hoping you weren't going to bring that up.
So, but yeah, we basically said that Hayes had the potential to be an MVP candidate, and boy, we couldn't
Missed
be
the
more
mark
wrong.
on that one. Slightly misstuck
Just a
the
little
landing.
bit.
It was a misinput.
I think I saw something the other day too. Do you guys remember what I sent in our group chat, essentially saying how
Yes.
I believe it was what his OPS
He was like
Was-
I think either the last or like next to last.
He also has the most
in
in
ground outs.
OPS.
He has the most ground outs in the MLB
Dude, it's so
by like
frustrating.
50. By like 50. There's no one close to the amount of ground outs that he has hit into
It's
this
just
year.
so frustrating because he
like-
learned how to lift the ball last year and now he's not doing it again.
Even this season, at the start of the season, Hayes was the best hitter in the month of April on the Pirates. And then he just fell
Well,
off
to
the
be
face
fair,
of
that
the
wasn't
earth.
really high. That really wasn't a high bar in April.
This is not.
I mean, April, like, they were solid. The first 3 weeks, the Pirates were, or no, 2 weeks, they were, what, 11-2? I mean, then they hit a brick wall and fell off the face of the earth, but my point stands is, like, he was the hottest hitter in that span. It's like,
Yeah,
he
and
was
he
hitting the ball
currently
like crazy.
now has a slash line of 241, 292, and then 300
With a
with
66.
a 66 WRC plus.
Yikes. That hurts.
Oh,
That's
man.
dude. That's how you know it's bad if we're talking about WRC plus, and even Mike gives that reaction.
I just know it's not good.
Well, keep
Everything
in mind,
you just said
100
was
is league
not good.
average. Keep in mind, 100 is league average, okay?
At least he plays defense. Woo! Oh my god, it's just like there's so many players. It's like I remember I read this thing. It was like, oh, Connor Joe, Sawinski, Triolo, and Hayes. It's like if they would have just produced at the WAR like that they had last year, I think like them as a whole have lost like negative 11.7 WAR.
I said
Between
at
the
the
four of
beginning, I said
them.
it last time, one of the times we recorded that like each of Hayes, Sawinski, Oliveris, who we'll talk about later, Taylor, and Triolo all dropped by at least 20 points in WRC plus. 5 players, including 3 outfielders, and your star third baseman from last year, all completely fell off a cliff.
That hurts. That really hurts. I mean, that's a lot of bottom of the order production. That if you have those guys turning the order over, for especially the way Andrew McCutcheon's been hitting in the leadoff spot, Reynolds, who has been like probably the most underrated player in baseball all season, and Cruz, who's hitting the ball great too. I mean, like you were easily winning at least 7 or 8 more games
Even
right
if
now.
you're just
than-
league average. Even if you're
But
just
literally-
league average.
It's unbelievable. Like you said, I'd like to hope that it's Andy Haynes, because literally everyone got worse.
And no one can, no one who gets here, no one who we bring up can hit apparently. G1 Bay forgets how to hit, even though he had Segura AAA. So does Henry Davis. I mean, is there really anyone you can think of who's gotten better once they've gotten to Pittsburgh? Joey Bart's about the only guy I can think of.
This season, it's Nick Gonzalez. That's it.
I don't even know if I count Joey Bart.
Yeah, that's part of it too.
Because-
It's like,
Joey Bart like didn't really even have like. To me, I don't think Joey had full, consistent playing time to fully develop, and like he's just now where he should have been or where he was projected to be. just about. Maybe he's playing a little bit better than that. But for a guy that was, what, second overall in 2018?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He should be just about where he is, if not playing better. So I don't really want to give him
It's
too
half
much credit for Bart
I'll
either.
give him half credit for that because this is what Bart should have been to start with.
Yeah.
And on another note, it just kind of triggered in my brain to like kind of bring this up. It's like Joey Bart is example. He's an example of why I don't want to trade Henry Davis because they're so similar. They're both top picks as catchers who are projected to just be hitting machines, you know, and Bart obviously didn't really, like you just said, he didn't really hit. in
Bart
San
never
Fran.
played as bad as Davis, though.
No, he didn't. But I just feel like it's a similar situation to where it's like, oh, if you trade him too soon and he gets with the right club, like he could develop, and then you're like, oh shit, we just traded him. You know, our
Yeah,
first
I
pick.
wouldn't want to trade Davis until a new hitting coach comes in and has time.
Exactly. I think he's got to at least get one more season.
With him. Or
At
Davis
least-
talks to one of his old hitting coaches again.
Goes back to his Louisville hitting coach, and then all of a sudden he hits 30
Yeah.
home runs next year.
That's just like I don't want to trade him because I just you know that happens. Pirates are notorious for when people leave the Pirates, they somehow get good at baseball and everyone freaks out in the city of Pittsburgh about how we can't develop nothing. And I just think Joey Bart should be Exhibit A, especially because it's on our team and it's the same position as our high pick, Henry Davis. So I just don't want to see him get moved at least for another season, especially if he's getting a new hitting coach. I just think it's only right to see what he's got. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of crossed my mind when we started talking about Joey Bart being good at hitting. So I was like,
Yeah,
I
it's
figured
like-
I'd bring it up.
Going back to it's like really nobody's gotten better under Andy Haynes. Nobody has. People have regressed. No, I can't even think of anyone on the Brewers who got better with Andy Haynes.
I mean, it is what it is at this point in the season. Like I mean, I'm basically throwing in the white towel.
Well, do we know who brought Andy in exactly?
What do you mean?
You mean like
Who brought him in to be hitting coach?
Like Ben Charrington? Is that what you mean?
I thought it was
Ben?
Shelton. Was this not a Shelton guy?
Or was it Shelton?
I thought that
It may have
I
been
thought
Shelton.
they
It probably was Shelton because usually it's them who have the majors say in their staff.
I have the
Which
sheet for it. Yeah. I mean, I
to
can
me
see that.
that's another thing going against Shelton heading into potentially his last year.
Well, it's the same thing with Mike
Now.
Tomlin. Remember, I guarantee you the Roonies gave him the ultimatum. It's like, well, fire Matt Canada, who is your guy, you brought him, or you're gone too. And he went with the latter, and they removed Matt Canada. I don't know if the Pirates will give Shelton that ultimatum because obviously the Pirates are doing way worse than what the Steelers were doing in comparison. So, but I think
Yeah.
it is similar.
Slight difference between
It's slightly
Derek
different,
Shelton
but
and Mike Tomlin.
No,
there.
yeah, no shit. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the sport. But no, but I'm just saying, like in correspondence, like he's your guy. It's like, hey, it's either maybe, Pirates start winning, and they give Shelton, be like, hey, okay, if you don't fire him, you're gone with him. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, it's all up to what was demanded there, but I think it's about time for us to close out today with some demands that were made to the Pittsburgh Pirates organization today and the beloved gas station. It feels wrong to even just call it a gas station. It is an experience. Sheets, the jersey sponsor for the Pittsburgh Pirates, received a demand from the Major League Baseball Players Association telling them to take the sheets patches off their jerseys immediately and also pay the players who were responsible in the campaign. So for those of you who don't know, I can give a bit of background on this. So for partnerships like this that are announced, you you are allowed a maximum of 3 players to use in the promotional material. Otherwise, you need to like pay the players separately, like through the MLBPA. There's a bunch of red tape with it if you go over 3 players. So you don't want to go over 3 players. And the Pirates put, I don't know how many you guys saw. I saw maybe at least 6 players, 7 players in the Sheets jerseys. I looked back and saw 2 tweets with at least 6 different players.
I remember seeing Nick Gonzalez, Cruz, Bednar, Reynolds, Kutch,
Skeens.
maybe Sawinski. He might have been in.
Skeens was in there.
McCutcheon, maybe?
For sure.
McCutcheon was probably.
Yeah. So we definitely, let's put it this way, definely over 3.
A little higher than 3 there, isn't it?
Definitely over 3.
So that is very much a violation of the MLBPA agreement to use players in that capacity for promotional material. So a lot of the time, if you guys do see, say someone's highlighting a promotional night, and let's say the Pirates are doing, O'Neal Cruz shirt night, and they'll only have O'Neal Cruz in the shirt or photos of O'Neal Cruz in the shirt, it's to stay under that 3 threshold.
Dude,
which I don't know why you would have other people in an O'Neal Cruz shirt, but if you notice it, you'll only see 1 player in the promotional material for 1 promotional item generally throughout the year. Also just makes it easier on the media team. But so this caused the MLBPA, they never have anything better to do with their lives. So they went after the Pirates and Sheets today and basically said
I was gonna say, dude, this is so ridiculous.
We're already on a 10-game skid. Now you want to mess up our jerseys,
ridiculous
bro.
of the timing, dude.
Screw off.
There are times
Leave us
this
alone.
is ridiculous. Like, I was like, this happened. I saw this like when we were going down by 8 runs. I was like, oh my god, are you fucking serious, dude?
So the complaint that was issued today said the Pirates and Sheets knowingly did this. I doubt Sheets really knew. They're probably kind of pissed if you're Sheets right now. But it's this is the quote from the complaint says, although the Pirates had the right to license space on its players' uniforms, patches to a corporate sponsors such as Sheets, the Pirates and Sheets did not and do not have the right, without a license from the MLBPI, to use the names, images, or likeness of 3 or more players in a calendar year in any marketing campaign, either to promote the Pirates/Sheets sponsorship agreement or for any other commercial purpose.
Wow.
So it could have been some paperwork forgot to get filed there, or whoever was in that position to make that marketing material was not aware of the situation. But regardless, not the best look for the organization.
That's great.
It is a little bit funny. It's a little bit funny. The Pirates did say they were surprised by the complaint, so it seems like maybe they didn't really know either.
Dude, it's just like, if things
leave us alone, man. Just leave us
The
be.
news of this coming out today, because this came out today pretty much during the Padres game.
It came out like when we were falling down
of
by
course
8
it
runs.
did. It was already 8-0 too. Yeah.
I was like, I saw that. I was like, dude, are you serious? Like, can we just go one day with no complete bullshit happening or something?
Dude, and then to top it off, Martin Perez was the one dishing us up, dude.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about
The
that.
dude that we traded away at the deadline absolutely cooked us. If we ain't in rock bottom, then I don't know where we're at. Joey Bart did hit a solo shot off him, though, so that was a positive.
Dude, and now the Pirates, one of the Pirates' biggest sponsors and their jersey sponsor might hate them. Now we might have beef between Sheets and the Pirates, bro. I can't even go to Sheets in peace now anymore.
Call up Permanis. You're next in line. You're our next sponsor.
Dude, bro, get that sandwich on the
are
jersey.
in
Do
a,
it. I don't care what needs to happen.
We're in dark times, dude. Can't even enjoy our Sheet sponsorship anymore.
We can't have nice
Now
things.
every time I eat a Sheets burrito at 2 a.m, I'm gonna be reminded by a complaint from the MLBPI.
See, they should as punishment, they should make Bob Nutting sell.
Oh,
All in
dude.
agreement, say aye.
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 Dude, imagine if, like, Mark Cuban owned the Pirates. You know how much money would be put into this freaking baseball team? Like, we'd be on the map. We'd be a big market.
I don't even
But
want to
no.
think about it, dude.
Dude, can you tell it's August if we're talking about selling the team, man?
Well, dude, literally last week we were talking about competing, and here we are now.
All right, well, let's take a look at what we got lined up. Home series coming up after an off day tomorrow. Thank God there's an off day tomorrow.
We
So
need it.
hopefully a little
We won't
Little-
lose tomorrow. Yeah.
reset for the boys. Everyone can go home. Then home series against the Mariners. Sesame Street Day on the 18th. Maybe Elmo can field some ground balls at shortstop for us, or catch a pop fly. Then at the Rangers
Dude, we
for
already
a
got the
3-game
Cookie
set.
Monster Rowdy Tellez on first base.
And home against the Reds to wrap up next week. So after the 15th, next off day will be the 29th. But couple winnable games in there. Doesn't matter
Dude,
if they
there's no
win
such as a
anymore.
winnable
Who
game anymore.
knows? Yeah, I mean the Mariners were on a little bit of a hot streak, but I believe they lost tonight after a really good start from Brian Wu too. But I believe they lost tonight. So they're starting to cool off a little bit. The Rangers are not very good, but that series is in Texas.
Yeah,
And
but
then
Corey
home
Seager's going to
against
go
the
9
Reds.
for 12 in the series with like 4 home runs, and that'll be that. See, look how optimistic we are. We just want to win a game. A game!
I think this is the most.
Break the streak!
I think this is the most optimistic episode to date. Judging by the look of my hair by the end of this episode.
Raking your
This
fingers
team
through.
is team's causing a little bit of stress, man.
Little bit.
A little bit. Noah, how you doing?
Dude, I just want to win a game. One game, please. Just
All right.
for the love of
Well, let's
God.
win one on Friday, why don't we? Against the Seattle Mariners, live in PNC Park.
It's Skeens Day.
Miller Lite happy hour. It's Skeens Day. We better win on Friday, man.
Dude,
If
who's
we don't
pitching
win
for the
Friday,
Mariners?
we may
You know
never.
that?
You know the A sign, dude. I need someone please, someone who's listening to this, pull up to PNC on Friday. If you ever seen, the flip from Moneyball, you remember the A series of the guy that had the yellow sign that said "We may never lose again." Please bring a sign that says "We may never win again."
Did you see the one guy?
I'm
Did you see the
begging
one
you.
sign
Please.
at the White Sox when they were in the middle of like their 20-game losing streak, where someone said, "Just please win one game"?
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah,
It's like we
Bring
got
one of
fans
those.
Begging.
bring out your signs, and yeah, let's have the boys win one on Friday. Mike, I know you're a little low on energy
Got
today.
this slugger to get the job.
Go Bucks.
Cannonballs coming. If they got to leave.